13 seconds. That's all it took to undo 7 years, a mortgage, joint passwords, her grandmother's ring, and everything I thought I understood about loyalty. I didn't even mean to open it. It was 2:14 a.m. I was half asleep, scrolling through unread texts, looking for a message from my boss about Monday's schedule. Instead, there it was. A grainy vertical video, sent by a number I didn't recognize. No caption, no explanation, just 13 seconds. It was loud. Music, screaming, glass breaking, people chanting something I couldn't make out. The camera spun wildly before settling on a scene that took a moment for my brain to register. She was sitting on his lap. Tessa, laughing, throwing her head back like she was 16 again. A crown on her head that said bride-to-be, glitter on her chest, her dress riding up too high. He was shirtless. She was kissing his neck like it was a joke, like everyone else around them was in on something I wasn't. And then she said it, clear as day, right before the video cut out. My fiancé would die if he saw this. Good thing he's such a boring little angel. I didn't move for a full minute. The phone dimmed. I didn't blink. I just stopped, like my internal OS had crashed and was waiting for a reboot. This wasn't jealousy. It wasn't confusion. It was humiliation. And the worst part? I was the only one who didn't find it funny. I didn't sleep that night. Not even a minute. The video looped in my mind like a curse, 13 seconds flashing behind my eyelids every time I blinked. Her laughter kept echoing in the corners of the house. That smirk on her face, the one she always gave me when she was feeling mischievous, was now branded on my brain, but not because of something we shared. No, it was burned there because she wore it while perched on another man's lap. And the words. God, the words. Good thing he's such a boring little angel. I sat on the edge of our bed until the sun came up. Her pillow still smelled like eucalyptus shampoo and drugstore vanilla lotion. I hated how much I noticed that. I hated how my hands were still shaking as I reached for my phone to check if she texted me. Nothing. I got up, walked to the hallway, and just stared at the hoodie she tossed on the floor when she got in. It was still there, like it was daring me to pick it up, daring me to smell it, daring me to admit what I already knew. I did. It reeked of someone else's cologne. Sharp. Expensive. Not the citrusy stuff I used. Not mine. That's when my chest caved in. I curled up against the hallway wall like some forgotten laundry basket, knees to my chest, hoodie clutched in my arms like it was radioactive. That's when the tears came. The pathetic, quiet ones. The kind where your throat clenches and your face gets hot, but you still try to keep it together, even when there's no one watching. Around 10:47 a.m., she texted. Just woke up. Phone died last night. On the way home soon, smiling face with hearts. She had no clue. No idea I'd seen the video. No idea that her little secret wasn't so secret anymore. And I had no clue what the hell I was supposed to do with that. Should I confront her? Wait for her to lie first? Pretend I didn't know and see if she confessed? The coward in me. He wanted to wait. To test her. To give her the chance to fall on her own sword. But the broken part of me? He wanted to scream. Shake her. Show her the video and ask why. At 11:19 a.m., I heard her keys in the door. I sat completely still at the dining table. She walked in humming something, sunglasses on her head, coffee in hand, and her smile, God help me, was warm and soft and familiar. Hey, babe, she said like nothing was wrong. You're home early. I didn't answer. She didn't notice. Just started taking off her shoes and tossing her bag on the couch. That's when she saw the hoodie in my hands. She froze. Her face changed, not to guilt, not to panic. No, to confusion. That's not yours. I asked, my voice sounding so calm it scared me. She opened her mouth, closed it. Then came the lie. Oh, no, that's Riley's brother's. I got cold and borrowed it. He was designated driver for us last night. Totally harmless. I forgot to give it back. It was so smooth, so prepared, like she had it holstered, just in case. I nodded slowly. Riley's brother, huh? Yeah. You've never met him, I think. He's, like, 21. Total nerd. I looked at her, into her, and I wondered, how many times had she looked me in the eyes and told stories that never happened? That's when I said it. I got a text last night. Her lips tightened. From who? No name. Just a number. Sent me a video. Her eyes didn't blink. Her breathing didn't change. She was good. Too good. I leaned forward slightly. Want to see it. She hesitated for a second too long. Was it bad? Oh, I guess it depends on your definition of bad, I said. It's short, 13 seconds. But boy, it says a lot. Her face finally cracked. Milton, she whispered. And that's when I knew. I didn't even need her to admit it. I already had everything I needed. She sat down across from me, suddenly quiet, like the air had been sucked out of the house. The silence between us was no longer empty. It was loud. She sat across from me like we were two strangers sharing a booth at a bus stop. No rings. No warmth. Just the growing knowledge between us that something had rotted, and we were now breathing in the stench together. I could see the gears turning behind her eyes. Not regret. Not fear. Strategy. Then she said it. Are you going to hit me? The question sliced through the air like a blade. My jaw clenched. I blinked twice. I had never even raised my voice to her. I once apologized for closing a drawer too hard in front of her. And now she was bracing for violence? No, I said slowly, trying not to lose my grip on whatever control I had left. I'm going to ask you one question. That's it. She nodded, cautiously. Her fingers were tracing invisible lines on the wood table. I leaned forward. Was that the only time? No dramatic flair. No names. No details. Just that. Tessa bit her bottom lip and looked down at her hands. She took longer than she needed to answer. That was already the answer. It was a dare, she finally whispered. They were all drunk and cheering, and it got stupid. That guy, the one from the video, I don't even remember his name. It was nothing. I didn't flinch. She kept going. I didn't sleep with him, Milton. I swear to God. It was just kissing. Just dancing. Dumb, reckless fun. I wasn't thinking straight. Do you usually wear hoodies from people you kiss, just for fun? I asked, and her face flushed red so fast I thought she'd pass out. That was from someone else at the bar, she stammered. Some guy was handing them out for a promotion. I was cold. I grabbed one. You just said it was Riley's brothers. She froze. The lie collapsed right there on the floor next to the hoodie, twitching and ugly. She blinked, opened her mouth again, and then, finally, gave up. I don't know what you want me to say, she said, and I could hear the edge creeping into her voice now, the frustration building like I was somehow inconveniencing her with this mess. Do you want me to beg, Milton? Is that it? You want me to fall on the floor and cry? You want me to hate myself? I already do. No, I said calmly. I want you to tell me what else you've been hiding. A long pause. I haven't been hiding anything. I nodded, got up, walked to my phone in the kitchen, opened it, and brought up the text again. I played the video on speaker. Her voice filled the room. My fiancé would die if he saw this. Good thing he's such a boring little angel. The laughter in the background sounded like a pack of hyenas. I turned the phone face down and looked at her. Her eyes were wet now, but still no tears. Just glossy armor. She buried her head in her hands for a moment, then finally let out a sound halfway between a laugh and a sob. I was drunk, she muttered. I was showing off. You were showing off what exactly? Silence. I waited. She finally looked up and whispered that I could still be wanted. That sentence, more than the video, more than the lies, more than the hoodie, that sentence stabbed deeper than anything. That I could still be wanted. So all the nights I made dinner, left her notes on the bathroom mirror, drove out to get her period snacks at 11 p.m., sat through The Bachelor even though it made me want to chew glass. None of it counted. Because I wasn't new. I wasn't the stranger at the bar with tattoos and mystery. I was just Milton, her boring little angel. I walked to the hallway, grabbed the hoodie off the floor, and tossed it in the trash. Then I looked at her, really looked at her, and said the first honest thing I'd said in hours. I think we need to pause the wedding. Her breath caught. Milton, no, please. It didn't mean anything. It's not like I cheated. You did cheat, I interrupted. Not just on me. On us. On the idea of us. You just didn't use a hotel room. You used your mouth, your pride, and your bachelorette crown. She started to cry then. Full tears. Real ones. Snot and all. But I didn't feel power. I just felt hollow. I need time, I said, already grabbing my keys. I need space to figure out if I'm still in this. And then I walked out. Not dramatically. Not slamming the door. Just a quiet exit. The kind that feels worse than shouting. I stayed at a budget motel on the edge of town, the kind of place with dusty curtains and a vending machine that only took coins. I needed quiet. I needed distance. But mostly, I needed not to look at the hallway where she dropped that hoodie, or the couch where we once binge-watched baking shows like we were a real couple. I didn't answer her calls. I didn't reply to her messages. Every morning, there'd be a new one. I can't stop crying. Please talk to me. I was stupid, but I didn't sleep with him. I swear. You don't just throw away 6 years over one mistake. The guilt texts. The desperation ones. The ones written at 2:08 a.m. that I knew she'd regret by sunrise. I read them all. I never typed back. And then came the package. It was waiting for me at the front desk when I returned to the motel after grabbing takeout on the 3rd day. No return address. My name scribbled in Sharpie. No note. No warning. I took it into the room and sat on the edge of the bed, heart pounding harder than I wanted to admit. For a moment, I imagined it was some grand apology, photos of us, maybe, a letter, her ring, something poetic. Instead, it was a USB drive. I stared at it for a long time before plugging it into my laptop. One folder, titled, Truth. Inside, 6 video files. Dated, timestamped. I played the first one. It was surveillance footage, grainy but clear enough. Hotel hallway. A timestamp from 4 months ago. Tessa. Her face. Her walk. Her purse. No question. And a man walking beside her. Tall. Bald. Holding her hand. They stopped at room 214. She looked around. He slid the keycard in. She went in first. That was it. No sound. No drama. Just the cold facts that my fiancé had walked into a hotel with someone who wasn't me, months before the bachelorette party, with the casual confidence of someone who had done it before. My stomach dropped. I opened the second video. Same man. Different hotel. This time they were laughing. Her head on his shoulder in the elevator. She kissed his cheek. The third video was in a parking garage. They were arguing. She pushed him. He grabbed her arm. She leaned in and said something, pointed at him, then got in her car and drove away. My hands were ice. My breathing was shallow. My fiancé hadn't made a mistake at her bachelorette party. She had made a lifestyle out of it. 6 videos. For different locations. Same guy. Spread out over the last 8 months. And then I realized someone had been following her. Someone had collected this, tracked her, recorded her, and then sent it to me. I called her. First time in 3 days. She picked up before it even rang. Milton. Her voice cracked. Who is he? She went silent. Who is he? I repeated, but this time my voice wasn't calm. It wasn't passive. It had an edge that even startled me. What are you talking about? Don't lie. I have videos, Tessa. Dead air. You were at the Lakeland Inn in May. Room 214. I saw it. You kissed him in an elevator 2 weeks later. You fought in a garage in August. She made a sound, some twisted exhale of pain and panic. Milton, I can explain. I swear to God, I was going to tell you. I ended it. Who filmed it? I asked. Who followed you? She hesitated. I think it was his wife. I froze. His what? His wife found out months ago. She said she'd ruin me. She threatened me online, said I was going to pay. I blocked her. I thought it was over. My mind spiraled. This wasn't just betrayal. This was scorched earth. Someone had watched her destroy my trust in real time, and then decided to detonate the evidence like a bomb directly into my hands. And you were going to marry me knowing all of this. I stopped seeing him, she said quickly. The bachelorette thing was stupid, yes, but it wasn't him. It was some other guy, and I hated myself after. Milton, I didn't know how to tell you. You always looked at me like I was perfect. I didn't want to lose that. You didn't lose that, I said, my voice hollow. You lost me. And I ended the call. Then I opened my laptop and played the 6th video. This time, it wasn't her in the frame. It was me, walking to my car after work, getting in, driving away. Same angle, same camera quality. Someone was watching me too. At first, I told myself it was just coincidence. A weird camera angle. Maybe a building security system had picked me up walking to my car. Or a nearby dash cam. There are 100 reasons why a person might end up on footage, right? Right? Except none of those explain how the video on the USB was centered perfectly on me. It wasn't grainy, like security cam footage. It was handheld. Intentional. It followed me from the building's side door, down the sidewalk, across the crosswalk, and all the way into my car. No audio. Just the sound of my own heartbeat thudding in my ears as I watched myself unlock the door and sit down. The footage ended the moment I turned the ignition. I stared at the screen for 10 full minutes after it ended. Then I checked the motel window. Nothing. No cars idling outside. No signs of being followed. Still, my skin crawled. That kind of slow, deep itch that tells you you're not alone. I closed the blinds, unplugged the USB, and threw it in the motel drawer under the Gideon Bible. Who had filmed me? And more importantly, why? Was it the same person who sent me the other videos? Was it the wife of Tessa's affair partner? Was this some twisted way of warning me? Or was it a message? A threat? A statement that I was now part of this web whether I liked it or not? Sleep didn't come that night. I kept seeing that final frame. My own face, distorted by the reflection of the windshield, unaware that someone was just a few feet away with a camera. Watching. Waiting. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done since college. I called in sick. Then I drove straight to Tessa's sister's house. Not to see Tessa. To speak with Jenna, the only person in her circle who had ever looked at me like I was more than furniture. Jenna and I had always gotten along. Even joked sometimes that if I'd met her first, things might have turned out differently. It was half a joke. Only half. She opened the door in a robe, hair wet, clearly caught off guard. "Milton, I need to talk," I said. "And it can't wait." 10 minutes later, we were in her kitchen. I told her everything. Not just the video. All 6 of them. The hoodie. The text. The surveillance footage. Even the one of me. She didn't blink. Didn't gasp. Just stood there, clutching her coffee like it was the only thing anchoring her to the floor. "Milton," she said softly. "There's something I should have told you months ago." My stomach tightened. "What?" She hesitated, then pulled out her phone and unlocked it. A few swipes later, she handed it to me. An email. From a Gmail account I didn't recognize. Subject line: "Ask your sister about the Marriott in July." No body text. Just an attachment, a single photo. Tessa, on a hotel bed, in her underwear, laughing, holding a wine glass. The timestamp was July 15th. "I got that 6 weeks ago," Jenna said. I didn't want to believe it. I thought someone was blackmailing her or trying to break you two up. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I was afraid. Of blowing things up. Of being wrong. Of hurting you." I laughed, but it came out more like a cough. "Well, too late for all that now." Jenna sat down across from me and leaned in. "There's more. That Gmail account. It didn't just message me. It messaged Riley too. And Char. And even my mom. Everyone close to her. Someone's been slowly seeding evidence, poisoning the whole ecosystem around Tessa." "Who?" I asked. She shook her head. "I don't know. But they're smart. Patient. Strategic. And apparently watching me now too." Jenna went quiet. She reached for her phone again and began typing something. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Checking my security cameras." She showed me the app. Outside her apartment, there was a still frame from 3:12 a.m. the night before. A black car idling across the street. Lights off. Windows tinted. "Did you see that car when you pulled up?" she asked. I hadn't, but I remembered feeling like something was off when I stepped out of my car. Like something was aimed at me. We sat in silence for a long while. And then, quietly, Jenna said, "Milton, I don't think this is just about your marriage anymore." That sentence hit harder than anything Tessa had ever done, because it meant something bigger was happening, and I was in the middle of it. We left Jenna's apartment an hour later in silence. I didn't say it out loud, but the idea that I was being watched, tracked, maybe even followed, it had burrowed into me. Like a splinter in my spine. Every noise felt sharper. Every reflection in every mirror felt like a second pair of eyes. And even though Jenna stayed calm, I saw it in her posture. The fear was crawling into her too. I checked out of the motel that afternoon. Something about the air in that room felt poisoned now. I didn't go home either. I didn't want Tessa to know where I was. Instead, I rented a car under a different name using a backup credit card I hadn't touched in 2 years. Paranoid? Maybe. But paranoia becomes rational when you've seen proof that someone's been recording you. I drove to a storage unit I hadn't used since we first moved in together. It was small but clean. No cameras inside. No windows. Just cement walls and a lock I trusted. I spent the night there. Mattress on the floor. My laptop, my phone, a backpack with clothes, and a steel thermos of cold coffee. My fortress of quiet. That's when I started digging. I knew Tessa wouldn't stop trying to reach me. So I did something that felt insane. I messaged her. I asked her to meet. But I didn't say where. I gave her a location I could control. The back room of an old photo studio my cousin owned. One of the few places in town that still had no Wi-Fi, no security, nothing digital. He let me in, no questions asked. He owed me. I waited there for 2 hours before she showed up. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't even try to dress it up this time. No makeup, no clever smile. Just the wreckage of guilt, wearing her face like a mask. You said you'd never ghost me, she whispered when she walked in. And then you did. I didn't say anything at first. I just watched her. You've been watched, I said finally. Tracked. Recorded. For months. And now so have I. She looked down. I know. Those 2 words stopped me. What? She nodded slowly. I didn't tell you, because I thought I could fix it. You knew someone was recording us? You knew about me being followed? I didn't know it was you. I didn't know how far she'd go. But yes, I knew she was watching me. His wife. She found out about the affair almost a year ago. She sent me messages, threats. I blocked her on everything. I thought it was over when he left her. But she started showing up. Sitting outside my gym. Leaving notes under my windshield. I thought it was just jealousy. I didn't think she'd turn it into this. My voice came out low. So while you were sleeping with her husband, she was building a case? Tessa nodded, face pale. And now she's turned it on you. Why me? Because I stayed, she said. Because I didn't tell you. Because from her perspective, I dragged you into this lie. She thinks you were complicit. That you had to know. And since you didn't leave me, she thinks you're just as guilty. I leaned back in the folding chair, heart hammering against my ribs. She sent me a final message last week, Tessa added. It just said, one of you will pay. He's chosen you. I froze. He. Tessa looked sick. Her husband. The one I was with. He's disappeared. She said he's watching, and when she finds him, one of us pays. My mouth went dry. Do the police know? I tried, she said. They said unless she touches me or breaks in, it's just weird behavior. Nothing actionable. And the footage of me? She looked me in the eye, and for the first time in this entire mess, I saw something I hadn't expected. Terror. She's not just watching you, Milton, she said. She's trying to isolate you. That's what she did to her husband before he left. She took pictures of him, sent videos to his coworkers, convinced him he was losing his mind. He said it felt like she was rearranging his world piece by piece until he didn't know what was real anymore. I felt something cold crawl across my shoulders. And now, Tessa said softly, she's doing it to you. I didn't answer. I just sat there, eyes locked on the floor, thinking about the USB. About the car and Jenna's camera feed. About the way I felt when I picked up that hoodie and somehow knew I wasn't alone. This wasn't revenge. This was something much darker. Something slow. Methodical. And I had a feeling it was just getting started. After Tessa left the photo studio, I stayed behind for another hour, just staring at the fluorescent lights flickering above me like they were keeping time on some invisible countdown. There was a moment, just one, when I wondered if she had made it all up. The surveillance. The threats. The missing man. Maybe this was her final manipulation, a last-ditch effort to drag me into her guilt and bury me under it. But then I remembered the footage. Of her. Of me. Of that black car. And suddenly, all of it felt less like drama and more like design. I returned to the storage unit just after 9 p.m. I parked 2 blocks away, walked a different route, circled the building before I went in. No tails, no strange cars, nothing obvious. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. You know how when you're a kid, and you think something's under your bed, and every inch of your body goes tight just from existing in the same room? That's how the night felt. Inside the unit, I flipped on the single hanging bulb and locked the door behind me. I made a habit of sleeping with a crowbar next to the mattress now. I wasn't going to be a victim again. I heated up some instant noodles with a camp stove and tried to convince myself that I still had control over at least this space, this moment. I fell asleep somewhere around midnight. The knock came at 2:06 a.m. Not loud, not frantic, just 2 soft, deliberate taps on the metal roll-up door. Tap, tap. I sat up so fast I hit my head on the wall. The crowbar was already in my hand before I could even think. I waited, heart slamming, barely breathing. Silence. Then, again. Tap, tap. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just stood there in the dark, frozen. Then came the voice. Milton, I know you're in there. It was a woman's voice. Calm. Even. I just want to talk. I didn't respond. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not the enemy here. But you've seen things now. And that means we need to have a conversation. One way or another. I gripped the crowbar tighter. She paused. I could hear her breath now, just on the other side of the door. You've got two choices. You open this door and we talk, like adults. Or I open it for you. And trust me, I know how. I looked at the lock. A standard padlock. Could she really break in? Did I want to know? She waited another 10 seconds. Then, I left something for you outside. Just a peace offering. A start. Look at it or don't. But if you don't open this door in the next 2 minutes, Milton, I will take that as your answer. I waited, still silent. Eventually, her footsteps faded. I listened for a full 5 minutes after they stopped. Then, slowly, I crept toward the door and lifted the latch just an inch, just enough to peek through the crack. Nothing. But there, on the concrete, was a small padded envelope. Plain. No markings. I yanked it inside and locked the door again. My fingers were shaking. I opened it under the light. Inside was a photo. Not a digital printout. A real photograph. Glossy. Old school. It was me and Tessa. At a diner. 2 years ago. She was laughing at something I'd said. I had forgotten that moment even existed. But this photo had been taken from outside the window. From a distance. And scrawled in ink across the back of the photo were just 4 words. Do you see it now? I flipped the photo back over. Stared at it. That's when I noticed. In the far left corner of the window reflection was a woman. Blurry. Standing. Staring in. Watching us. She had been there all along. We just hadn't known where to look. Her name was Elaine Merrick. She was 42. Former private investigator. Wife of Aaron Merrick, the man Tessa had been seeing. According to the detective I eventually hired. Yes, I finally did something smart. Elaine had left the official P.I. game years ago after a nervous breakdown. But after discovering her husband's affair, she'd apparently slipped back into her old habits like a second skin. Except this time, there were no clients. No paycheck. Just pure obsession. What started as tracking her husband's movements soon morphed into something else. A meticulous psychological campaign. She didn't want revenge. She wanted to orchestrate consequences. Carefully. Slowly. She watched Tessa. Then she watched me. Then she started engineering the cracks. Dropping evidence like breadcrumbs. Not to destroy me outright, but to wake me up. She wanted me to see. To understand the depth of what had been done to me. She disappeared 3 days after leaving the photo. The police eventually found a small storage locker under her name in another town. Inside were files, printed emails, photos, timelines, receipts, documenting nearly a year's worth of Tessa's lies. There was nothing illegal, nothing that would hold up in court. But there was truth. Raw, organized, devastating truth. And strangely, it helped. Because it proved I wasn't crazy. I wasn't weak. I wasn't paranoid. I was targeted, yes, but also liberated by what I saw. Tessa tried, of course. She begged. She wrote letters. She sent me a long email about therapy, accountability, the broken girl inside her, and how she finally saw the monster she had been. I believe some of it. People are complicated. Pain doesn't excuse betrayal, but I get now that she wasn't just cruel. She was lost. She needed attention like oxygen, and I had been her oxygen tank for years. When it ran out, she reached for whatever mask was nearest. But none of that was my responsibility anymore. I filed the paperwork a week later, and I left. Not in some dramatic way. No revenge. No Facebook post. No grand speeches. I just moved on. I packed my things, transferred my job to a remote role, rented a small apartment in a town by the water. It smells like cedar and salt here. Quiet. Peaceful. I started walking every morning again. I started reading fiction, real fiction, not self-help guides disguised as productivity books. I even joined a local photography group. Funny, right? Cameras. After all that. But this time, I'm behind the lens. I choose what I focus on now. I still have the photo she left me, the one with the diner and the reflection. I keep it in a drawer. Not because I want to remember the pain, but because it reminds me that clarity is earned. Sometimes the universe has to break your spine to teach you how to stand again. Last week, I took a photo of a seagull mid-flight. Perfect framing. Sharp motion blur. Everyone in the group said it looked like freedom. I think they were right.